Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin rule the news, but now for a quiz. Whose currency reserves have increased? Whose gold reserves are at one of the highest levels ever? Who's responsible for creating a record trade surplus? And on top of that, going ahead and increasing their minimum wage by 20%. This should make Democrats ecstatic. Who also just signed a law allowing the government to quickly raise pensions on top of pouring billions into developing new oil reserves, something we all want? Who scaled up their farming resources to a size never seen before? And who is responsible for this increase in currency overall? Is it Joe Biden or is it Vladimir Putin? If you guess Biden, you're wrong. That's Vladimir Putin. So did you answer that question correctly? If you didn't, it's all right. It can get kind of confusing, but we're going to cover all the variables in a much larger story that this is all associated with. And it goes by the initials BRICS, BRICS for short. And we're going to cover exactly what that means and the implications to the U.S. economy, which are staggering. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel here yet, I certainly hope you will. If you're on YouTube, I put up a membership platform. If you could join, it helps to support future broadcasts. Or you can simply go to restrictedrepublic.com. Right now, discount code FREEDOM at monthly checkout. That's going to get you $5 a month for 2 years, plus 14 days for free. We've added an additional broadcaster, more news than ever. And again, no commercials, no interruptions. RestrictedRepublic.com, your single source for the news that matters. No fluff, no cooking shows, no weather, just stone cold hard facts. Get to RestrictedRepublic.com. But now let's get back to this broadcast. So let's rock it through the details here, shall we? What you're familiar with first. The Fed hikes rates 25 basis points in March, 50 basis points in May. 75 basis points in July, 75 basis points in September, and we're all feeling the impact. But what is that impact when there's more? Well, the Fed is now expected to keep raising rates, then hold them there. Exactly how high are they going to go? Let me show you here, and let me read it to you first. The September CNBC Fed survey shows the average respondent believes the Fed will hike another 75 basis points, or at Wednesday's meeting, bringing the federal funds rate to 3.1%. The central bank is forecast to keep hiking until the rates peak in March of 2023 at 4.26%. I say that slow to make sure you feel the impact. The new peak rate forecast represents a 43 basis point increase from the July survey. And there's what we're going to be looking at, settling at 4.3% in March of 2023. So much for home affordability. Throw that out the window. But on top of that, to add insult to injury, and this all associates with a much larger story. One that many are talking about is, what will the new currency system look like? Because when you do this to the currency, well, the U.S. will quickly not be the standard. Many would argue it is not now, and many of us have watched our accounts and our retirement do exactly what you see on this chart: plummet. The S&P 500 is down 24%. These three indicators suggest it has further to fall. Oh, that's phenomenal news, isn't it? The key 10-year Treasury rate is tumbling as softer economic data injects hopium into markets over a Fed policy pivot. I don't see any hopium anywhere. It's not truly what they mean by that statement. But on top of that, again, to add more insult to injury now, the job openings and labor turnover summary. On the last business day of August, the number and rate of job openings decreased to 10.1 million, down 1.1 million available jobs. Now, how are you going to get yourself out is the question. And many Americans are tightening their purse strings, tightening their belts, call it what you want, because the U.S. dollar soars to 2-decade high as Fed flags more large hikes. But there's an impact to this, and there has been a reaction to this. It's why Putin's going to get the last laugh. Depends on who you want to associate with the entire movement will be the larger question. Now, I don't want you to fall for headlines like this. UN urges Fed to pause interest rate hikes on global recession fears. I'll show you why that statement in itself is very misleading. And it all relates again to BRICS, B-R-I-C-S. I'm going to say that over and over and over again until we get to the details, which we're going to do rather quickly. If I can stay off my header bar there, it'd be better. Analysis, world central banks caught in the Fed's slipstream. The world's not happy. They're yelling at the Fed now because, well, now they have to race to raise interest rates. You see the United States. Let me draw. Oh, no, actually, I'm out of the way. United States, Canada, New Zealand, Austria, UK, Norway, Sweden, the Eurozone, Switzerland, and Japan, all in the race to see who can raise rates the most to keep up with all of this, because all they're trying to do is stave it off, right? Really? I taught you better than that, haven't I? Australia raises interest rates for the first time in more than a decade. New Zealand raises rates for the first time in 7 years. More to come. European Central Bank raises interest rates for the first time in 11 years. Germany raises rates more than 3.5%. Cause and effect. But what is the effect? And what has been the cause, of course, is the larger question. Japan intervenes to stop yen slide. After BOJ holds rates super low, what is Japan doing? Well, intervened in foreign exchange markets on Thursday to buy yen for the first time since 1998. Well, that doesn't show much faith in the dollar, does it? When they're converting the yen, but yen's not the ultimate goal, nor is the ruble. Now, there's a larger goal. As we watch the shrinking global supply of money, don't worry, I'm going to get there. Is a global recession imminent, according to the Global Bank? That's the question they're asking. Everyone has to follow, because otherwise their currency will be devalued, Borrell said to an audience of EU ambassadors. Everybody is running to increase interest rates. This will bring us to a world recession. So is it a question, or is it coming? Look forward to your comments. Pretty easy answer, actually. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to present you the facts and look forward to your opinion. But don't worry, Joe Biden's in control. He's got it all covered. The United States has imposed unprecedented costs on Putin to deny him the revenue he needs to fund his war against Ukraine. But I showed you at the beginning, that's not really proven out now, is it? No, it appears it created a monetary shift elsewhere, and not in our favor. Biden says G7 will ban Russian gold imports over war in Ukraine. So Russia keeps more gold. So they have a currency standard to work from. Already a major player, second biggest gold mining nation in the world, but we've given them reason to hold even more gold. Now back to these charts. Russia versus U.S. currency account. Folks, we're on the bottom. And Russia's on the top. And China and Russia gold reserves, which I showed you earlier, massively escalating. Remembering, Russia is on track for a record trade surplus. And record current account surplus disguises longer-term impact of economic sanctions. Well, there is a disguise going on. There's no question of that. That's the most accurate statement I've read. As Russia raises minimum wage by 20%, we showed you all this in the beginning. Putin signs law allowing governments to quickly raise pensions. Russia pours billions into developing new oil reserves. Taking care of his own country. Shocking. Russia scales up vertical farming resources to diversify its food supply. That's a great thought. Of course. Are we helping fund farmers the appropriate way to assure that the food that we need to survive and the water we need to live are being bolstered, supported? Nah, we're worried about electric cars. Of course we are. Russia's money supply increasing day after day after day. Russian ruble hits 7-year high against the dollar. Oh, Biden, you've done a phenomenal job against Vladimir Putin. Yeah, you got him while you're calling for 100% clean energy by 2035. That's the focus. It's the destruction completely of our monetary system. So who shall save the world? Well, lo and behold, there happens to be an organization all ready to do exactly that. The name of the organization is BRICS. BRICS announces new world reserve currency. While America is destroyed from within, strong title, of course. So who's part of BRICS? Well, there's Brazil. There's Vladimir Putin. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are coordinating their policies on key international issues ever more closely, and are playing an active part in shaping a multipolar world order and developing modern models for the world's financial and trading systems. Oh, you guys thought I was supporting Russia. Oh, no, I'm not that blind. all these folks want the same thing. Out and out control. His temporary assistance of his people will be overrun by these nations coming together now. There's India, there's China, there's South Africa. Don't need to spend too much time here. And now they're saying Mexico might join in too, as they continue to expand their membership. Now BRICS in itself, let's read first on Mexico. BRICS is becoming increasingly attractive to many countries in Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. Many experts see BRICS as one of the centers of the emerging multipolar world, free from the global hegemony of the West, or the United States is what they should say. The current members of the association support the idea of expansion, but at the same time recognize that it will not be fast. BRICS. It's a new monetary system, by the way. Or as reported in China Daily, BRICS leads globalization mission. The COVID-19 pandemic has already dealt a massive blow to the world economy when the Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out. The conflict and the sanctions major developed economies announced against Russia in response have resulted in food, energy, and refugee crises, dealing yet another powerful blow to the global economy apart from the heightened tensions between Russia and the West. Who's going to solve that? Well, BRICS is going to solve that, of course. BRICS countries to set up their own international monetary fund. You think that's a departure from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund? It's not. As a matter of fact, Building Better Global Economics. This was published a long, long time ago. Let's see. Who wrote this? Goldman Sachs wrote the structure for BRICS. It's announced many, many years ago. Just follow it. So now does this UN headline suddenly make a little bit more sense or no sense at all? You see, that's the misdirection that happens daily. The huge potential and their role of BRICS in achieving the 2030 agenda. Once again, UN headline urges Feds to pause interest rate hikes on global recession fears, but yet the organization being put together to become the new monetary fund potentially has the ability to pull other countries out, supports the UN Agenda 2030, which could only be facilitated or expedited by the failure of the American economy, which is happening. Now I hope it makes more sense to you. BRICS pushes the IMF to reform, but yet who's running it? Members of the IMF and the World Bank. They seem to got everything organized. There's only one holdout. At the moment, the reforms need to be ratified by member parliaments. The biggest holdout so far is none other than, you guessed it, the United States. Now, am I saying we should be a member of this? Of course not. We should be independent. We should be sovereign, as we were designed to be. But what is happening rather, and some are saying that the United States is being demolished from the inside out, allowing for an organization like this, a powerful organization, to rise, to be the new monetary standard. While we're engaged in spending billions and billions and billions of dollars in Ukraine, while we're engaged in turning over to green energy, our streets are, well, quite unique in the stories that are covered recently, and that's where all the focus has been in this culture war, rather than what's actually relevant and important, which is, again, the sovereignty, sanctity, and freedom of every United States citizen. So you need to be made aware of what's happening in this crazy world around you right now. Hope you answered that quiz right in the beginning, because it has much larger implications than anyone will discuss with you. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.